Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Main reason I came out here this morning and wanted to talk a little bit of wrestling is Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be, I think, a real entertaining day in the world of professional wrestling. It might not even be Wednesday. It might be like Thursday. Going into work and have people maybe asking you questions about this. The Vince McMahon documentary is going to be released this Wednesday on Netflix. Netflix in America has pretty much became what Comcast was 20 years ago. You might not have cable. You might not have, Comcast the way it used to be back in the day because you thought it was too expensive. But most people have found an alternative. There's either YouTube TV, there's Hulu, there's Sling. But if you do not have one of those to keep television, to keep you being able to watch something, I think Netflix might be one of the most popular home streaming services there is in America. And I think everybody opens up Netflix, everybody sees that main screen. I have no doubt in my mind that Wednesday, like that first box that pops up when you open up the app, I don't know if they call it like Netflix recommends or if it's just like the newest thing that's on here that is going to be hot and everybody's going to be talking about it, is going to be the Vince McMahon documentary. The one thing I think that might scare people away is that it's going to be, I think it's going to be 6 episodes that are an hour long. It might be 3 2-hour episodes. It might be something. That might be honestly the one thing where people are like, I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm not a Vince McMahon fan. I'm not going to push this button. But I really think that, if you think about the things that have become popular on Netflix, Tiger King is the one thing that comes out. Like, people just like to watch stuff. And like I said, they might not have another streaming source to watch, sports or something like that with like a YouTube TV, that they're just going to watch whatever is handed to them on Netflix so they have something on the television. I think the Vince McMahon thing, because of the news stories that have come out in the last year with basically all the trouble that he's gotten himself into, I think it might be something that people like say, hey, I know a little bit about this. I want to know a lot more. When it comes to, people, I don't know how to get there without saying it. When it comes to like people taking dumps on other people's heads, whatever that weird sexual fetish is, people say it might not actually be in the documentary because of the time that they filmed it, because of the time that they produced it. I'm saying that we knew about this documentary for a long time. I'm saying that last episode, that last hour, has to really dive into the problems that Vince McMahon is having with him selling the company, with him being forced out of the company, because he kind of set up a sweet deal for himself where he sold the company, but he still had a job within the company. And then once all of these allegations are put out there, he is sort of, he had been forced into retirement once. He came back from the retirement. Then he got himself a job in the company that would sort of keep him around almost in the same role. So it's like he gets all this money for selling this company that is his, but then he kind of gets to keep the same job where he gets to keep running the company and doing what he's been doing for a long time. Now, when it comes to this documentary, I think when it was first announced, it was supposed to be like a glory thing where, this is Vince McMahon, this is all the things that he has accomplished, this is all the things that he's done. Now, whoever the director was, whoever's telling the story, in the light, Vince McMahon has become a bad guy. He's turned heel on the world of professional wrestling. Somebody that, I grew up a WWF fan all of my life. I can honestly say that, yes, I watched Nitro. I watched Nitro from the time that it came on. I watched Nitro until the time it died. But inside of me, even when the NWO was running wild, I was buying my NWO t-shirts. Every time I had some sort of aerosol can in my hand, I was spray painting an NWO logo on a mirror or something like that. I always wanted WWF to win the war because that's who I had been aligned with my entire life. Yeah, I was jumping ship for a little while, but I always was flipping back to Raw, giving them a hope. And I can honestly remember thinking to myself at one point, like, I understand everybody is watching Nitro, everybody is loving this, but when are they going to figure out how good of a show Raw is putting on, like with the Nation of Domination? They had Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, DX. Like, the boom that came at WrestleMania 14 honestly could have been felt 6 months beforehand, and it didn't. It took after WrestleMania 14 for everybody to realize that WWF was the bigger show. I think took another 6 months after that came to be. But, with Vince, the only way I can say it is turning heel and taking on a different persona. Are they going to be making him look like when he took over all of the territories? Are they going to be making that in a positive light? That he had to do this in order to grow his company and grow the Rock and Wrestling and have Hulk Hogan, Invasion take over? Or are they going to tell the stories of basically when he took over Calgary and he took over Stampede Wrestling? He went to Bruce Hart. Not Bruce. Bruce is one of the sons. God damn it. Stu. When he went to Stu, he basically said, I'll give you this much money over this much period of time. Just stop running shows, stop running television. Instead, we'll air the WWF show. And the first payment came. The second payment might have even came. But then all of a sudden, Vince just stopped paying. And he just was like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to take me to court? And how long is that going to take? And I'm going to squeeze you out with lawyer fees. Where basically, like, you're paying and paying and paying to the point where, like, even if you win this lawsuit, you're not going to have enough money to start your own business up again. So, when they had figured that out, Stu just started Calgary Wrestling again and just kept it going. But, I mean, how many other promoters, how many other places did Vince squeeze out? We know that he went out and he overpaid for all of the wrestling stars, so he would have every promotion's first biggest, maybe even their third biggest star come to wrestle for him in the WWF. But how many, when he would buy their television deals, how many people did he actually pay what he said that he was going to pay? How is that story going to be told? Is it going to be sold like he was smart and he really didn't have to give him all that money? Or is it going to be told that, like, hey, he made a deal and he didn't live up to it? Things that came out, like when Linda was running for Senate, like how many bills, how many loans did the McMahons take out and just not repay? And then, embarrassingly, because Linda's running for Senate and doesn't want the bad light on the news, they were going around town and they were paying these debts that they knew they had, but they knew they just didn't have to pay because people weren't going to do it. And they were writing checks that, that they had been owing for 30 years. And they had the money. They got tons of money. They got more money than they know what to do with. They have the biggest rich people problems there is out there in the world. Now, Linda has sort of, she is involved in politics, I guess you can say. She doesn't have a current job or seats or anything like that. But how is that going to be told? Are they going to try and tell, like, how the McMahons and the Trumps are kind of like in business together and they had donated so much money over a period of time that, Linda, she was either on the cabinet or she was close to it. She got some sort of a job when Trump was in office. But, and that's, basically the relationship that they had over years with WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5, WrestleMania 20. I always get one of those screwed up in the 20s. When was the one in Detroit? I want to say 22. I'm pretty sure. But, Hey, it is what it is. 6 hours, Wednesday. It's going to be fun to see what Thursday is like. I'm really thinking, like, let's say I get home from taking my kids. I can get Netflix fired up. If I started at 3:30, I'm done at 9:30. Still got to work the next day at 4 in the morning. Oh, but next week is the day that I'm working, but I'm really just watching videos all day. I have to take a test for my job. So I have to watch a video to study for it before I take the test. So maybe I can drag my butt in there on no sleep that day. It's gonna be fun. It's really gonna be fun to see what this McMahon doc is all about.